Y'all, Grandma Rose here. We are making dog treats today. My puppy's out of treats and he performs so much better if I bribe him with something. So what I'm doing today is I'm going to make peanut butter and pumpkin dog treats. I found the recipe on allrecipes.com. Let me show you. Here we go, this pan over here. And there's my computer. I brought my computer into the kitchen. So this is peanut butter and pumpkin dog treats from allrecipes.com. And this is what I'm making today. It looks like it's going to be really easy. I'm working over here in my corner. When I'm cooking something like this, I had this piece of marble over here, and I move it over to cover up half of my sink, and that gives me more counter space. I do move it back, but when I'm cooking something, it gives me more room to work. So I'm going to follow the recipe as best I can and hope they turn out well. The easy thing about this recipe is it works with like a heavy dough, like maybe similar to bread dough. I'm going to do it in my KitchenAid mixer. And then instead of rolling it out and cutting shapes, you just roll them into logs and then cut across like slice and bake cookies. So it should be as simple as it can be. So let's see what it calls for and we'll measure it out. And let me read the directions first. Okay, it calls for the oven needs to be preheated to 350. So let me go ahead and do that. Oh, and I'm so sorry. My nose is stopped up again. I've got allergies and I have taken antihistamine and it's worked somewhat. Maybe a little bit less sniffly than I was the last time I recorded something, but I'm still stopped up. Can't do anything about it. I've done everything I can. Okay, so this calls for 2½ cups of whole wheat flour, 2 eggs, a ½ cup canned pumpkin, 2 tablespoons of peanut butter, a ½ teaspoon salt, a ½ teaspoon cinnamon. And you mix all together. You mix it all together. So it says whisk together flour, eggs, pumpkin, peanut butter, salt, and cinnamon in a bowl. Add water as needed to help make the dough workable. But the dough should be dry and stiff. Roll the dough into a ½ inch thick roll and cut into ½ inch pieces. That sounds pretty good. Okay, so let's do that. Now I cannot find my ½ cup measuring cup. I have my 1 cup, I have my 1/3 cup, and I have my 1/4 cup. But I don't know where the ½ cup measure is, so I'm going to use, when something calls for a ½ cup, I'll use 2 of the 1/4. So 2½ cups of flour. So let's scoop this out. Here's my flour right here. You can see what I'm doing. 2½ cups of flour. There's 1. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do 2 1/4 cups of flour. I had forgotten. 2 1/4 cups of flour. And I have some wheat germ. And I think the wheat germ will be good to add to that. If I can get it done. Goodness gracious, that's tight. So I have changed the recipe just slightly. I'm hoping for the better. So 2 1/4 cups of whole wheat flour plus 1/4 cup of wheat germ. Now I'm going to put the salt in. I think the salt is up here. So a ½ teaspoon of salt. Go ahead and mix all the dry ingredients first. That. And a ½ teaspoon of cinnamon. The cinnamon. And I'll put that back in my cabinet. Put it up here where it goes. I need to add peanut butter and eggs and the pumpkin. So 2 tablespoons of peanut butter. I think 1 good heaping tablespoon should be about right. If it's a little more than the recipe calls for, it's not going to hurt anything, because we are just adding water as it's needed, and maybe we'll need just a little bit less. There's the peanut butter. I'm going to lick my finger. Gum. Okay. Now, 2 eggs, and I've got my fresh eggs. So we always, anytime I'm using fresh eggs, I always crack them into a separate container. Even though I know they were fresh this week, that's just a good precaution. Always a good precaution when you're using firm fresh eggs. That egg is good. I know they're going to be good, but as I said, it's a precaution. So add that one in there. Here's a blue egg and here's a brown egg. And that egg is fine too. So this is an extra large egg and the other one was closer to medium. That'll be about right. Add those in. And now the pumpkin. I've already got the top off the pumpkin. We're going to do a half cup of pumpkin. So let's see here. I've got my 1/4 cup. So there's a 1/4 cup of pumpkin. And another 1/4 cup of pumpkin. And that's it for the ingredients that it calls for. So let me put this in here and start stirring this a little bit. I'm going to use this tablespoon and add just a tablespoon of water at a time. I think that's ready. Can you see this? Let's see. There, do you see this? This is very stiff dough. I think that's fine. I think this is what it means when it says to a stiff dough. Because that's almost right there is all I need. So I'm going to put down my pastry cloth. Okay. I think this is going to work. It said that the dough should be dry. And I think that's about as dry. It needs to hold together, but you don't want any extra flour. It needs to be workable. I think that's about it. So let's get this out. These other pieces right here onto my pastry cloth. I would adore having a dishwasher. I've always had one. Well, I won't say always had one. But since the 1970s, there's only been one period that I have not had a dishwasher until I moved here. And you see what I'm doing? I'm just rolling these out. Just going to cut it into 1/2-inch pieces, 1/2-inch rounds, and that'll be good. Well, I have figured out how to do this. All I have to do is to roll it out until this rope is half the diameter of these measurements in here. So I had forgotten that each one of these is an inch wide. Y'all, look at this. So I ended up really filling this cookie sheet, and I'm going to, I could have, probably should have, I could have, not just could have, I probably should have put it on 2 and cooked it twice, or I could have used two different shelves in the oven, but I didn't. What I will end up doing with this is probably stopping a couple of times and stirring it to redistribute them on the pan and cooking them 40, maybe 45 minutes until they're hard. That's what it said, 40 minutes or until they're hard. They're getting ready to go in the oven, and when they're out of the oven, I will show them to you. So here we go, putting them in the oven. Oh my goodness. Now let me tell you, I found one that had not gotten on the tray, and I just gave it to the dog raw. And it was so good that he carried it off into the other room. Now that's a seal of approval. That makes it mighty good. All right, there's the timer. Turn that off. This has actually been 50 minutes. I checked these at 40 minutes, and some of them were getting hard, but some of them were not. So I put them in for 10 more minutes. Let's see how this does. Let's check these. Put these out. It can be very hot. The main test is if the ones in the middle are hard, and I'm still, ouch, that was hot. But, you know, I'm still feeling a little give to them. I'm going to put them in for 10 more minutes. I did that the last time, and I don't know if that it helped or not, but so these will have cooked an hour by the time this timer goes off again. You know, quite often if you're cooking something, a large sheet, say one of those, a big cookie, you know, one of those big cookies that you do sometimes, the edges get done before the middle. So I'm testing this principle. Whether it's going to work or not, I can't say. But, you know, it's not going to hurt anything. So we go back in the oven. Okay, the timer's getting ready to go off. I just came back into the kitchen. Okay, this has been a full hour. Let's see what happens. Now, I don't want to burn these, so that's the thing. I don't want to cook them too long, but I do want them to be done. So let's check them again and see. What I did, I made this kind of a circle in the middle, made them into a donut. Now the trick is the ones in the middle, are the ones in the middle hard? And yes, the ones in the middle are hard this time. So I think we've got it this time. So this is what they look like. So there we go. I think this is done. They're far too hot to have a doggy test. But he has already let me know that he liked the first one. And I got some of the ones out from earlier, like at 40 minutes and 50 minutes, that were hard. And to let them cool and let him try them. And he sat and he lay down when he was supposed to. So he's being a good dog as long as I've got treats in my hand. So there we go, y'all. This is an easy, easy, easy treat to make. I like to cook easy, don't you? Bye, y'all. See you next time.